Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with CEO, entrepreneur, and food enthusiast Daniel Laudon. As CEO of the company Nature's Warehouse, he is a firm believer in natural resources and supplements. His company is dedicated to promoting natural health. They've been doing that for decades. 50 years ago, his mother made choices of how she was going to live and raise her children and siblings, and all of that is a part of Daniel's vision. Enjoy this interview.
Thank you for taking a minute out, and I want to begin with COVID. In your line of work with what you do, obviously it's very driven, customer driven. How did you survive COVID, and how did that time period change you?
It didn't really change us as far as who we are as a business. It changed, I would say, our target customer, people we're talking to, and how we communicate with people a little bit. But we approached it like we approach all health stuff. It was extreme sickness going around, but it was still sickness, and your body still had to deal with it the exact same way it deals with all attacks. And so everything we've been teaching all these years, it just worked for us, and we taught the same things we'd always taught. Also, we saw a changing message from what would be possibly the health officials or the different ones, a changing message, and it made a lot of people start questioning the narrative, I guess would be the best way to put it, and start opening their minds to possible other thoughts. You see what I'm saying? And it gave us an opportunity to express the story that we've been saying for a long time.
So let's get to that story. And before we do, on paper, you're a CEO, but if you were in front of a bunch of kids right now for career day, let's say a bunch of fifth graders, and one of the kids looks up at you and says, "What do you do for a living, and how are you qualified to do that?" How would you answer that kid?
Interesting approach. I like it, though. Innocence of a child. So I would say that I teach health. That's what I do. And I give people the products they need that are put here on the earth by God to live healthy lives. And I supply people with those products. That's what I do.
So it almost seems that, the whole COVID pandemic environment, did it give you more of an emphasis, give you more of a foothold on helping people, discover ways of boosting immunity? And this is the reason why I frame this way. When this all happened around March, I accidentally cut my thumb open. I went to the emergency room. The pandemic was raging. We were within a month of it. And of course, I figured a hospital's the safest place. My wife was freaked out. I get in there. The ER doc comes up to me, and he's a hardcore dude. He was going to go to Peru within a month and climb a mountain and all of this stuff. And I said, just lay me straight on this pandemic. What's up? And he said, it's the people that are the older people in our society and those that are unhealthy. And clearly you're providing, not only ideas, but products to help people with their health. That had to be a big boost for what you're doing.
Yeah. So I probably should have went back a little bit in with your last question, but just to give, you asked how am I authorized or what gives me the authority to speak on these things. I don't have the authority. I'm not a doctor. What I am is a second generation. I was the oldest of 7. My mom they were all home births. None of us ever went to the doctor unless it was really extreme, and then she always checked with an herbalist or an alternative health doctor of some type after. Like, she'd go to the doctor if one of us kids had something going on, and then she's on the phone with an alternative health doctor to find out. So my mom was never an herbalist, but after 7 kids and 30 years of raising them, what she found was people coming to her asking, what can I do? My daughter has a urinary tract infection. My son is really struggling in school. He's got ADHD. What do I do? And my mom, had seen about it all. and she had hung out with a group of ladies who were like her. So between all that, it was just life experience to her. And if she didn't have the answer, she knew trained alternative sources for these people to go to. And she would lead them down that path, and then ultimately she started selling products on the back porch, because they would all come to her for her stuff, because they knew she had big closets full of herbs and vitamins and all the stuff, and she started selling the stuff off the back porch, and that was the birth of our company 25 years ago. So that's how I grew up. They say if a plant is organic, it has to be from the time it's a seed. It has to be or from an animal, has to be from the time it's small. It has to be organically raised. Well, I could pretty much say I'm certified organic as far as that goes. Like, it's part of who I am. So I don't claim to be a doctor or any of those things, but having never been vaccinated, ever, no vaccinations, having never had any of that stuff, all the stuff that I had dealt with in my system had been done naturally. It was just another day. Does that make sense?
100%. And what I find weird, because I agree completely with natural remedies. With organic, Natureâ. What is that relationship that Americans have with that? It has to be like certified from a pharmacy or a doctor, or they get weird about natural things. In your line of work, what do you find? How do you deal with that mentality that Americans tend to have about that?
I just teach people. There is a lot of different views, and the FDA has a very strong opinion of what has made, they have what they consider organic, and it's good. The FDA regulations around organic, if they're carried out, they're good. Like, the thing is, though, is that products come from other countries, and they're supposedly following our regulations, but there's questions there and all this stuff. So where I'm at on all that is that I think that being connected to your food source and your supplement source is super, super important. If your neighbor is growing a product, if you know somebody that has a big garden, if you have a roadside stand you pass on the way home from work, and they're selling tomatoes and peppers and healthy stuff, ask them some simple questions. Do you use non-GMO seeds? Do you use any sprays on your fields, any chemicals? If they can look you in the eye and be honest with you, I personally feel that is your healthiest route. And commercializing anything can corrupt it. And the FDA tries to keep those things pure. And the public's opinion is there. As much as they want health, they will seek and they will find nourishing things for their body. If you don't care, you're going to stop at McDonald's. Does that make sense? Did I answer your
100%.
question?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah. So, as someone that dispenses good products to people and good advice, you probably serve as a mentor to a lot of people, especially in your company. But who's your mentor? Who's your hero? Someone that you've always seen as a role model in your life?
Well, my mom. My mom would be number one. Growing up, we had Dr. Christopher. That's kind of who we looked to as and he's passed now. But he was, he studied herbs and life and had product line we still sell his product line today. I still take 3 of his supplements today daily. Will not spend a day without them. And I'm controlling some health issues that I've had since birth with his products. But since then, the lady. Her name is Sandra Ellis. Her book is Dr. Mom, and she's come out with a couple new books, but the one that I still hold and cling to that changed me a lot was Dr. Mom's Be Your Own Doctor.
So, in the realm of literature and like enlightenment, what was a book for you growing up that was really big for you in your development, that kind of parted the curtains for you that you would go back to?
As far as in health and that type of thing, it would have been that book, the Be Your Own Doctor book. There was another one, I cannot think of the name of it right now, but it was by Rachel Weaver. You can search her online. She actually had a couple books, but those were also very influential in my life.
What's your philosophy as a CEO? What kind of environment do you like to foster? What do you like to imbue under your employees?
The biggest thing that I want is to give people health, and our value as a company is exclusively to help other people to have healthier, happier lives. From my call center, we have 21 girls in the call center this morning answering calls and helping people, taking orders and stuff like that. And from the very start, they need to have the customer hear a smile on their face. Hear a smile. And I mean that. They have to hear a smile. You have to feel value flowing, health flowing from us. And from our girls packing in the warehouse, our guys on the roads delivering boxes, whatever it is, you're delivering health to a family, like stuff that they're dealing with something, and they have decided to listen to their body and to study and decide what their body needs, and have ordered products for us instead of maybe running to the doctor or something like that. And we need to get it to them as fast as possible and change their lives.
As we kind of mentioned with, more natural remedies out there, there's misperceptions about it. What would be the number one thing that you would tell somebody right now listening to your story and what you want to do for people? What would be the one thing that you would tell them to convince them that, this is probably a line of product that would be good for you, that would be beneficial to your existence?
I have so many number ones, but probably the most important is that you either study and learn. You will. It's not, if you want to go down the path of alternative health and to listen to your body, the truth that's out there about your body and what your body needs is not what's being told to you by the doctors and the medical systems. It's something you're going to have to press into and learn. It takes a lot of work to go down that path. And if you can't do that, if you're just not that type of person and you're not going to read and study and whatnot, then you need to seek out and find, connect with an alternative health doctor that is studying and doing that and is able to help you. But you do not have to be taking all those drugs and all those pills. You can deal with the health of your body and listen to your body, and naturally, it can be done.
So if you have a dream tonight, you run into the younger version of yourself, say in your 20s, and you could give that version a piece of advice based on what you've learned throughout your life. And this isn't about regret, it's about dispensing wisdom. What would you tell your younger version?
I would. So when I was in my early 20s, having grown up this way and being super healthy, I went through that phase where I had to experience the world. and I went, and ate Burger King and McDonald's and worked construction and, lived that life, and I got really sick, ended up in the hospital. And through a series of events, I came back and started taking responsibility for my own health. I would have I would tell I think I had to go through that, and I think I had to learn on my own to have the convictions I have nowadays. But I would tell myself to catch on to it a little bit faster. Yeah.
So everyone has a perception of you, an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your employees, but you ultimately live your life. You have a perception of yourself. Who do you think you are?
Well, you asked some good questions.
Thank you.
This is great angles. Wow. Who do I think I am? Wow. I think I am a person that is more. There's a difference in what I pay a lot of attention to people, more than people realize I do, and I'm very keen on what's going on with people mentally, and I try to be a person that mentally gives people what they need to encourage and be a better them, and I do not like to let them know that. I like to live my life trying to help others mentally, on top of health, but personally, I'm trying to help people mentally. But I want them to think that they're doing it themselves. They're bettering themselves, and I'm helping them, and I don't want them to know I'm helping. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure does. What's been the best fan letter, best response you've gotten from a client over all these years?
Right when I was coming into the business, my parents had been doing it, and they retired, and I took the company over, and I was already working in the company, but I wasn't running at that time. Somebody came to me, and it gave me a little bit of the drive to step up and take control as my parents retired. They said that their daughter had been very ill in a wheelchair and all these things, and they said we read, because we do a quarterly magazine with a bunch of articles in it. They said by reading your magazine, we've been ordering your products, and the guy's like, I don't know exactly what all my daughter's done, and what all she's read, but I know it was like she swears by you guys, and she's no longer in a wheelchair. She's up walking around. Her life has been changed thanks to your magazine.
That's wonderful. So for anyone out there that wants to know more about Nature's Warehouse, you, your company, what you do, anything related to you, where do they go?
Sure. Nature'sWarehouse.net is where to start. It's our website. You'll find links to our Facebook page, the blog. There's on the bottom. There's a blog that updated articles that we put out online. You will not get the depth online because the website web is controlled somewhat from what you can post. But if you get our catalog, it's got all the articles in there. You can email us, message us on Facebook. There's an 800 number. Like I said, we got all those girls in there. They'll get your catalog into your hands and start communicating with us.
Beautiful. Daniel, thank you for taking time out today, man. I appreciate it. This has been wonderful.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, and music around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.